12 times your cat was trying to cheer you up. No matter how mysterious cats seem, there are moments when their strange little actions are actually less random than you think. In fact, some of the quirks you brush off as just cat stuff might have been heartfelt attempts to cheer you up, but you didn't realize it at the time. In this video, we'll explore 12 subtle ways cats may have been trying to lift your mood when you were feeling low. 1. The sudden hallway ambush. You're trudging through the house after a rough day, thoughts swirling like storm clouds. Then, out of nowhere, bam, your cat darts across your path, skidding like a tiny hockey player and swatting at invisible prey. At first glance, it seems like chaotic nonsense. But here's the thing. Cats are masters at sensing shifts in atmosphere. When they pick up on your heaviness, they sometimes counter it with a burst of comic relief. That over-the-top hallway sprint isn't just random zoomies. It's their version of stand-up comedy, an unspoken, "Hey, look at me. Life isn't all that serious." You laugh, even just a little, and suddenly the pressure cooker in your chest loosens. They didn't need to bring you flowers. They just needed to trip over your slippers and look ridiculous. 2. The silent sit-in. You know those times when your cat quietly plants themselves next to you, not purring, not meowing, just being there? It can feel almost eerie, like you're under surveillance. But in their world, this is an act of solidarity. Cats don't do pity speeches or motivational pep talks, but they excel at presence. By choosing to sit right beside you in silence, they're echoing back the calm you can't quite access yourself. It's like they're lending you their stillness. The irony is, while you might have brushed it off as them being lazy, they were actually staging a quiet intervention. The furry shadow at your side was telling you, whatever storm you're in, I'll wait it out with you. 3. The gift you didn't want. Okay, let's talk about those infamous presents cats sometimes deliver. A dead leaf, a sock they dragged from the laundry basket, or yes, the dreaded half-eaten bug. While you might have groaned or shuddered at the sight, in their mind this was an act of generosity. Cats in the wild bring food or tokens to their group as a way of saying, I care about your survival. When they drop that mangled toy or winged intruder at your feet, it wasn't sabotage. It was their twisted version of comfort food. The tragedy? You likely squealed in horror or tossed it straight in the trash, missing the tender thought behind the carnage. Somewhere in that act of mischief was a genuine effort to cheer you with a gift. 4. The headbutt of encouragement. It looks so simple. Your cat strolls up, presses their forehead gently against your leg or face, then saunters off. But underneath that tiny gesture is an entire love language. Cats reserve headbutting, or bunting, for those they trust deeply. It's them mingling their scent with yours, claiming you as part of their safe zone. Now think back to when they've done this during a time you were feeling isolated or stuck in your thoughts. That gentle nudge was essentially a pep talk without words. You're not alone. I've got you. You may have just absent-mindedly scratched their ears and moved on, never realizing they had just delivered one of their most heartfelt encouragements. 5. The sudden nap on your chest. If you've ever been pinned to the couch by a purring weight on your chest, you know the feeling. Inconvenient, a little suffocating, and yet strangely grounding. Cats are picky about where they sleep, and choosing your chest isn't random. It's where they can feel your heartbeat. When they settle there, especially when you've been anxious or down, they're sinking with you like a living weighted blanket. The rhythmic rumble of their purr acts almost like a sound bath, lulling your nervous system into calm. What you might have seen as an interruption to your scrolling or your nap was in reality a furry prescription, a reminder to breathe, slow down, and remember there's comfort in connection. 6. The dramatic flop in your path. You're walking through the kitchen, still replaying that frustrating conversation or worrying about tomorrow's tasks, when your cat suddenly collapses on the floor in front of you. Belly up, legs sprawled in theatrical surrender. You sigh, step around them, maybe mutter about how inconvenient they are. But hold on. This move isn't just laziness, it's a calculated distraction. Cats know vulnerability, exposing their stomach, is both ridiculous-looking and deeply disarming. That flop is a little theatrical stunt designed to interrupt your mental spiral. In their mind, the message is clear. Hey, pause whatever storm is happening in your head. Look how absurd I can be. And if you cracked a grin, even for a second, then mission accomplished. 7. The midnight serenade. At 3 in the morning, when you're finally drifting off after a stressful day, your cat decides it's the perfect time to unleash a symphony of meows outside your door. Annoying? Absolutely. But sometimes, that noise is less about demanding food and more about breaking the silence they sense weighing on you. Cats know when the air feels heavy, and their nighttime chatter can actually be an odd attempt at lightening it. Think of it like an unsolicited pep talk in the middle of the night. To you, it felt like a rude interruption. To them, it was, I can't solve your problems, but I can definitely distract you with my dramatic monologue until you laugh, or at least roll your eyes. 8. The unexpected escort. Ever notice how your cat trails you from room to room, even when they clearly don't need anything? You go to the bathroom. There they are. You head to the kitchen for a glass of water. Footsteps patter behind you. At times, it feels clingy, even suffocating. But beneath that constant shadowing is an act of guardianship. Cats in the wild follow their companions to ensure safety, and that instinct carries over. When you were pacing around, lost in thought, they were quietly playing bodyguard. What looked like neediness was actually loyalty on full display, disguised as casual stalking. 9. The paw tap interruption. You're hunched over your desk, spiraling into worry about that email you haven't answered or the problem you haven't solved. When you feel it, a tiny paw pressing against your arm. Annoying? Maybe. But it was also the purest reminder that you were still tethered to the present. Cats aren't philosophers, but they're excellent interrupters. That gentle tap was their way of saying, "Step out of the fog for a second. Look at me." While you might have brushed it off with a quick scratch and kept typing, in their mind they had already achieved their goal, breaking the endless loop in your head, even if just briefly. 10. The gaze that lingers. There are moments when you catch your cat staring at you, not blinking, not moving, just watching. It can feel unsettling, like they're judging every life choice you've ever made. But the reality is almost the opposite. In the feline world, maintaining a steady gaze isn't hostility when paired with relaxed posture. It's attentiveness. It's them checking in. They see the slump of your shoulders, the heaviness in your steps, and their stare is their version of asking, "Are you okay?" The kicker? When you finally looked back, they often blinked slowly, a subtle feline signal of affection. You may have laughed it off or called them creepy, but that stare was their quietest and most profound check-in. 11. The surprise cuddle ambush. You're curled up on the couch in a fog, not in the mood for company, when your cat suddenly wedges themselves into your space. No warning, no subtlety. They just plop down against your side or drape across your lap like your furniture. At the time, you might have sighed or tried to adjust so you could still hold your phone, but here's the secret. Cats choose warmth strategically. When they sense your energy dipping, they close the gap with physical closeness, forcing you into the here and now. That cuddle ambush wasn't about their comfort. It was about anchoring you to something soft and safe, even if you didn't realize you needed it. 12. The doorway guard. Sometimes when you've been shut in your room feeling drained, you open the door to find your cat sitting right there, waiting. Not meowing, not clawing, just posted like a sentinel. In that moment, it's easy to think they were just bored. But consider this. Cats rarely linger in one spot unless there's a purpose. Stationing themselves at your door was their way of showing patience, of saying, "Whenever you're ready to come back out, I'll be here." They can't text encouragement or cook you soup, but they can plant themselves in your path so you're reminded you aren't alone. And there you have it. Those are the small ways your cat tries to cheer you up. Curious for more insights? Learn how to make them feel deeply loved in return, or discover the most commonly misread cat emotions. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.